Maya, he said quietly. I need to tell you something. Okay. I know you're only here for 2 weeks. I know you'll leave, go back to Seattle, continue your life. And I know it's crazy to feel this way after just 2 days, but... He took a breath. I haven't felt this alive in years. You make me see my own city with new eyes. You make me remember why beauty matters. And I'm going to be very sad when you leave. Maya's heart was pounding. I'm going to be sad too. But for now, for these 2 weeks, can we just be present? Enjoy this. Not worry about what happens after. Yes, Maya said. I want that. Tomáš reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Then finally he kissed her. Gentle at first, then deeper. Maya felt herself melt into it, her hands finding his curly hair. His arms pulling her closer. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. Bozimi, Tomáš whispered. Oh my God. Maya laughed, dizzy and happy. Is that a Czech expression? Very Czech. Means the same thing. Oh my God, you're beautiful. Oh my God, I'm in trouble. They kissed again and again until they were lying on the warm roof tiles, the Prague sky blue and perfect above them. Eventually they made themselves get up, brushing dust off their clothes. Tomáš held her hand as they descended the stairs, and he didn't let go as they walked through the streets. Are you free tonight? He asked. There's a jazz club I love in Malá Strana. Small, intimate. Amazing musicians. We could have dinner first. I'm free, Maya said. I'm free every night for the next 12 days. Viborn, excellent. I'll pick you up at 7. He kissed her goodbye at the tram stop, and Maya rode back to Vinohrady in a daze. In her apartment, she looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back. Her eyes were bright, her cheeks flushed, her smile ridiculous and huge. 2 days in Prague and her whole world had shifted. She thought about calling her mother, her friends back home. But what would she say? I met someone. I'm falling in love with a city and a man and maybe even myself. They'd think she was crazy. Maybe she was. But maybe crazy was exactly what she needed. That evening, Tomáš took her to a tiny restaurant in Malá Strana that served traditional Czech Jewish cuisine. They ate cholent, a rich stew with beans and beef, and frgal, sweet pastries from Moravia, and talked about everything and nothing. After dinner, they walked to the jazz club, which was literally underground, down a narrow staircase into a vaulted cellar that had probably been there for centuries. The space was intimate, maybe room for 40 people, with small tables crowded together and a tiny stage in the corner. The music was incredible. A quartet playing standards and Czech compositions, the bass vibrating through the stone walls, the trumpet soaring. Between them, Tomáš and Maya shared a bottle of Czech wine, vino, and he told her stories about Prague's jazz history. During communism, jazz was considered dangerous, he said. Too American, too free. But people played anyway in secret clubs in basements like this. Music as resistance. Even now, jazz clubs are where Prague's soul lives. Where people come to think and feel freely. They stayed until midnight, until the last notes faded. Outside it had started to rain. A summer storm, warm and sudden. They had no umbrella. Run or wait? Tomáš asked. Run. They ran through Malá Strana's narrow streets, laughing, the rain soaking them completely. By the time they reached shelter, an arched passageway between buildings, they were drenched. Maya's hair was plastered to her face, Tomáš's shirt clinging to him. And suddenly they were kissing again, pressed against the old stone wall, the rain drumming on the cobblestones beyond their shelter. It was like a movie except better because it was real. The taste of wine on his lips, the feel of his wet skin, the smell of summer rain on ancient stones. Come home with me, Tomáš whispered against her mouth. Please. Yes. His apartment was close, just a 10-minute walk through the rain. It was small, a studio in an old building in Vinohrady, but charming. Books everywhere. Sketches pinned to the walls. A drafting table by the window. A narrow bed in the corner. Tomáš gave her a towel, one of his t-shirts to change into. While she dried off in the tiny bathroom, she heard him moving around, putting on music, lighting candles because the overhead light is terrible, very Soviet. When she came out, the apartment was warm and glowing. Tomáš had changed into dry clothes and was making tea. Kaj, he offered. Or something stronger. Tea is perfect. They sat on his bed, the only real seating, drinking chamomile tea and talking quietly. The rain continued outside. Inside, candlelight flickered on the walls. Tell me more about Seattle, Tomáš said. I've never been to America. So Maya told him about the Pacific Northwest, the mountains and the ocean, the coffee culture, the constant rain, though different from Prague rain. She told him about her tiny apartment that was twice as expensive as it should be. About her job as a copywriter that had paid well but slowly killed her soul. About Saturday mornings at Pike Place Market, buying flowers and fresh bread. Do you miss it? Tomáš asked. Parts of it. My friends. My favorite bookstore. But the life I was living there. Well, I don't miss that at all. Will you go back? Maya set down her teacup. I have to, eventually. My visa is only good for 90 days. And even that assumes I can afford to stay longer. But will I go back to the same life? I don't think so. Can't. I've changed too much already. 2 days ago you arrived. I know. But sometimes 2 days is enough to change everything. Tomáš pulled her closer, and she rested her head on his shoulder. They sat like that for a long time, listening to the rain and the quiet music. Stay tonight, he said. I'll sleep on the floor. Or the couch. Well, I don't have a couch, but I'll figure something out. Maya lifted her head to look at him. Don't sleep on the floor. No. No. They made love slowly, gently, as the candles burned down and the rain softened to a whisper. Afterward, lying tangled together in his narrow bed, Maya felt more at peace than she had in years. Milujita, Tomáš whispered against her hair. Sorry, that's too much too soon. Forget I said it. But Maya had been learning Czech phrases obsessively on her phone. She knew what it meant. Love you. Don't take it back, she whispered. Because I feel it too. The next week passed like a dream. Maya and Tomáš fell into a rhythm. Mornings exploring, afternoons resting, evenings eating and talking and making love. Tomáš showed her parts of Prague she'd never have found alone. They took the tram to Žižkov, the bohemian neighborhood with the weird television tower that had crawling baby sculptures on it. They explored Holsovus, visiting the Diox Contemporary Art Gallery and eating at a hipster cafe that served avocado toast, which made Toma laugh. Even Prague isn't safe from this trend. They took a day trip to Kutna Hora, a small town outside Prague with a cathedral and an ossuary, a chapel decorated with thousands of human bones arranged in patterns. It should have been morbid but was somehow beautiful, a reminder of mortality that made life feel more precious. They went to an outdoor cinema in Letna Park, watching a Czech film with English subtitles under the stars. Maya understood maybe half of it, but she loved the music of the language, loved Tomáš whispering translations in her ear. They cooked together in his tiny kitchen. He taught her to make bramboriki, potato pancakes, and smazeny syr, fried cheese that was terrible for you and absolutely delicious. She taught him to make scrambled eggs the American way, which he found hilarious. Why so fluffy? Czech eggs are flat and practical. They talked about serious things and silly things. He told her about growing up during the Velvet Revolution, how his parents had joined the protests in 1989, how he barely remembered communism but its shadow was still everywhere. She told him about her complicated relationship with her father, about the pressure she felt to be successful, to have a plan. Americans are obsessed with plans, Tomáš observed one afternoon as they lay in Stromovka Park, a huge green space on the edge of the city. 5-year plans, career plans, retirement plans. What about just living? We're scared, Maya said. If we don't have a plan, we might fail. Might end up poor or alone or insignificant. And how's that working out? All this planning. Maya laughed. Point taken. But not everything was perfect. Sometimes Maya felt the ticking clock of her departure. Sometimes she'd be laughing with Tomáš and suddenly feel a wave of sadness, knowing this was temporary. And sometimes in quiet moments, she wondered if this was real or just a vacation romance, the kind that feels intense because you know it's ending. One night about 10 days in, they had their first fight. They were supposed to meet for dinner, but Tomáš was late. Very late. Maya waited at the restaurant for an hour, growing increasingly worried and angry. When he finally showed up, he was apologetic but also defensive. "I'm sorry, I lost track of time. I was working on a drawing and you couldn't text for an hour. My phone died." "Maya, it's not a big deal." "It is to me. I was worried. And I felt stupid, sitting there alone while everyone stared at me." They argued on the street corner, their voices rising. A few passers-by glanced at them curiously. Finally Tomáš sighed. "You're right. I should have been more thoughtful. I'm sorry." He reached for her hand. "I'm not used to considering someone else. I've been alone for a while. But that's not an excuse." Maya felt her anger deflate. "I'm sorry too. I overreacted. I think I'm just scared." "Of what?" "That this isn't real. That it's just a pretty fantasy that will dissolve when I leave." Tomáš pulled her into a hug, right there on the street. "It's real, Maya. What we have is real. The rest, we'll figure it out." But would they? Maya didn't know. With 4 days left, Maya started to panic. Not outwardly. She kept smiling, kept exploring, kept pretending everything was fine. But inside she was unraveling. She'd fallen completely in love with Prague. With its bridges and spires, its hidden courtyards and beer gardens, its resilient history and beautiful sadness. She loved the way trams rang their bells and the smell of Tridelnik on the streets and the sound of Czech conversation in cafes. But more than the city, she'd fallen in love with Tomáš. With his gentle intelligence, his artist's eye. His way of seeing beauty in everything. With the way he looked at her like she was precious. With the way he made her feel brave. The thought of leaving, of going back to Seattle to... what? The same apartment. A new copywriting job. Dating apps. Made her feel physically ill. On her second-to-last day, Tomáš took her to Petrin Hill. They took the funicular, a tiny cable car, up the steep hillside, emerging in a beautiful park full of gardens and paths. At the top was Petrin Tower, a mini Eiffel Tower built for the 1891 Jubilee exhibition. They climbed it, another tower, another view, but Maya never tired of them, and stood at the top looking out at Prague one more time. "I don't know how to leave," Maya said quietly. "Then don't." She looked at him, startled. "What?" "Don't leave. Stay in Prague. Stay with me." Tomáš took both her hands. "I know it's crazy. I know it's fast. But Maya, I love you. I want more time with you. Not 2 weeks. Not 2 months. Just him. To see where this goes." "Tomáš, I can't just. My visa. You have 90 days total, right? Stay the full 90 days. We'll figure out the rest as we go. Maybe you can find work teaching English. Maybe you go back to Seattle but come back for visits. Maybe, I don't know. But let's not end this just because a plane ticket says so." Maya felt tears on her cheeks. "I want that. I want that so much." "Then do it. Be brave. Isn't that why you came here?" That night, Maya lay awake in Tomáš's bed, listening to him breathe beside her. Her flight was in 2 days. She could change it, she'd bought a flexible ticket just in case. She had enough savings to last a few months if she was careful. But it was crazy. Staying in a foreign country for a man she'd known for 2 weeks. Her mother would have a heart attack. Her friends would think she'd lost her mind. But maybe losing your mind was the same as finding yourself. In the morning, Maya called the airline and changed her ticket. She'd stay for 2 more months. After that, they'd figure it out. When she told Tomáš, he picked her up and spun her around, laughing. "Ty sa Uzasna, you're amazing. I can't believe you're staying." "I can't believe it either," Maya said. But she was smiling. Then for Christmas, when the city transformed into a wonderland of markets and mulled wine and snow dusting the castle like powdered sugar. It's January now, and Prague is covered in snow. Maya stands at the window of the apartment she shares with Tomáš, a bigger place in Vinohrady with room for both of them to work, and watches the city transform into a winter wonderland. She's been here 6 months. She never went back to Seattle, except for one quick trip to pack up her apartment and say goodbye to her old life. Now she teaches English at a language school and writes freelance articles about Prague for travel magazines. The pay isn't great, but it's enough. And she's happy, truly deeply happy. Tomáš comes up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Thinking about the summer?" he asks in English. His English has gotten much better. Her Czech is still terrible, but she's learning. "Always," Maya says. "Pada, pada Rosika," she sings softly. "You remembered," he says, surprised. "How could I forget? It was the first song you sang to me." Outside, snow falls on the red roofs of Prague. Somewhere, the Vltava flows under frozen bridges. The castle stands eternal on its hill. And in a small apartment in Vinohrady, two people who found each other in the most unexpected way stand together, watching their city sleep under winter's blanket. Maya knows it won't always be easy. There are visa complications to navigate, cultural differences to bridge, practical realities to face. But right now, in this moment, none of that matters. 'Cause she took a chance. She was brave. And she found something real. "Milujita," she whispers to Tomáš. "Milujita Taki," he whispers back. "I love you too." And outside, Prague, beautiful eternal Prague, keeps their secret, the way it has kept millions of secrets for 1,000 years.